Welcome to Second Take, the show where African politics meets its most uncomfortable mirror. This isn't just satire. It's the annotated edition of the nonsense we survive dressed in wit, irony, and well-worn metaphors. In this special feature, we journey through Uganda's title theatrics, Botswana's media blame game, Zimbabwe's constitutional gymnastics, and Zambia's courtroom drama. It's a safari through ego, evasion, and electoral deja vu. So grab your popcorn or your passport, depending on which country you live in, and prepare for an experience where the punchlines punch back. Because here, the truth doesn't just set you free, it drafts its own constitution. Welcome to the show. When Yoweri Museveni first introduced himself to the Ugandans in 1986, he came bearing gifts: stability, bushwar charisma, and a heavily borrowed copy of Machiavelli's The Prince. Almost 4 decades later, the man, once known simply as the rebel with a cause, has acquired yet another moniker for his name tag, Ssemalungu. According to his latest spiritual revelation, it means something between master of the wilderness and he who crossed the water. But in Luganda, it rather generously translates to father of the white man. The timing, divine; the purpose, dubious; the reaction, a national episode of communal whiplash. This new title didn't descend from the heavens with a trumpet blast. It arrived on July 21, 2025, inked onto a letter about rigged NRM primaries. Yes, the man who has been accused of rigging every national election since the fax machine was still trendy is upset about primary fraud. The irony is so rich it could bail out the Ugandan shilling. But let's not be petty. After all, if a man rules for 40 years, he must have the humility of a monk and the memory of a coconut. Ssemalungu, Museveni explains, celebrates his ability to survive the bush war. But Ugandans, linguists, and netizens aren't buying it. Some say the title smells like a reaction to Bobi Wine's name, Sentamu. Others suspect he is testing the waters for the next phase of his political reincarnation. If not the presidency, then spiritual consultant. It's clear, Museveni's war isn't against opponents anymore, it's against the dictionary. One ex-user wrote, from Sabalwanyi to Jaja to Ssemalungu. At this rate, Museveni will soon be crowned the alphabet. If this is branding, then Coca-Cola better watch its back. In the spirit of bush war nostalgia, perhaps next he'll claim the title Semabota, he who never leaves, or Semasafe, he who owns the ballot box and the counting pen.
Who gave them such idea that in order for you to be appealing to the public, you have to change your names in every elective season? This time we are watching, even if he calls himself a god, as some people have started calling him a god, nothing much will change. Museveni is Museveni.
Ruta Maguzi wants President Museveni to focus on serving the people of Uganda rather than crafting intimidating titles.
Even if he rebrands himself, without changing what he's doing for this country on the surface, nothing much will change.
Trained teacher Aloysius Matov-Joy, who is also a linguist, told us that the name Ssemalungu is given to someone who has conquered deserts and wondered what prompted President Museveni to choose such a name. Yet Uganda has no desert.
Now, if someone gives himself the title of Ssemalungu, what comes in our brains is that maybe this guy, because he is a Sabalwanyi, a great fighter, he conquered the deserts. That's why he calls himself Ssemalungu, the one who rules the deserts.
Matovu, who is also a historian, adds that President Museveni's choice of names.
Uganda is no stranger to reinvention. It went from Obote to Amin to Obote again, and then skipped the part where leaders leave voluntarily. So, when Museveni announced Ssemalungu during the NRM primaries, the question wasn't why. It was, why now? And how bad is the economy? Let's be clear. In a country with no desert, Ssemalungu, being defined as he who conquered deserts, is not just poetic license, it's poetic theft. Linguists like Aloysius Matovu-Joy, the Gandalf of Uganda, have had enough. Stop abusing our vocabulary, he said, in not so many words. What he meant was, if your political survival depends on misinterpreting culture, hey, there goes that English, you might not be as culturally rooted as you claim. But there's a method here. Museveni's lexicon grows whenever elections near. Sabalwanyi made sense when the guns were still warm. Jaja worked when the youths needed grandfathers, or at least someone who claimed to understand TikTok. Ssemalungu, however, feels like someone shook a Scrabble bag and decided to print the results on presidential stationery. Even within the NRM, there are hushed chuckles and passive-aggressive WhatsApps. But Museveni, ever the orator, insists the name honors the legacy of resistance and hardship. The opposition, meanwhile, calls it a distraction technique so old it smells like 1981 boots. As 2026 creeps in like an uninvited uncle, the title battle is on. Bobi Wine has Sentamu, rooted in Ganda tradition. Museveni now has Ssemalungu, rooted in, well, himself. The alphabet soup of heroism is beginning to curdle. Perhaps the next televised debate should feature both candidates in full cultural regalia fighting with metaphor and misquotes until only one man is left holding a thesaurus. Meanwhile, in Botswana, a land once described as Africa's diamond of democracy, a new sheriff arrived and he brought his own press filter. Duma Boko, president since November 2024, recently addressed his party's central committee elections in Apalapia by doing what any new leader of a fragile democracy does: attacking the media. Boko, known for his sharp tongue and law degree, turned his party meeting into a seminar on media manipulation. By journalists, that is. Accusations flew like potholes in Gaboroni's rainy season. He called the media liars, fabricators, manipulators, possibly even Arsenal fans. Reports of voter roll tampering and internal discontent were labeled baseless. And just like that, Botswana's first peaceful transition of power in nearly 60 years was suddenly shadowed by a leader allergic to front-page criticism. The Botswana Editors Forum was not amused. In a rare clapback, they accused Boko of harassment and intimidation, though no journalists were named. The message was clear. If you write against the king, don't expect a Christmas card, or access, or even Wi-Fi. And yet, this is not Boko's first public meltdown. In the 2010s, he famously called University of Botswana lecturers useless and told ENCA reporter, "The truth hurts." Ironically, this man was once the poster child for legal dignity. Now he's looking more like a YouTube comment section. But let's not be too harsh. Every president deserves their honeymoon period. But Duma Boko seems to be filing for divorce from the media faster than you can say freedom of expression. His critics argue that his media tantrum is a smokescreen designed to distract from the real story: potential chaos within the BNF. Reports suggest that Boko's leadership is under siege from within. At the July Congress, the elections dragged into 4 a.m. disputes. Committees were shuffled like Uno cards, and no one could remember who voted for whom. But rather than explain this mess to the public, Boko took the easy route: blame the journalists. After all, it works for Trump and Mugabe, and that one headmaster in Maun. But Botswana is watching. The country has prided itself on institutional stability, and Boko's turn toward media scapegoating is worrying. This isn't just a leadership test, it's a character check. When confronted with dissent, will Boko dialogue or detain? Will he govern or just tweet angry sound bites from his press room? As journalists sharpen their pens and editors lock their doors, the president must choose democracy or dictatorship in sheep's law degree. The irony, the same media that helped build Boko's brand now may threaten to unravel it. A classic case of biting the hand that once handed you the microphone. In Zimbabwe, the constitution is apparently a very flexible document. You can waive it, amend it, ignore it. If you're Minister Daniel Garwe, use it as a gift card for extra years in power. This month, at a ZANU-PF rally, of course, Garwe stood under the hot sun and declared that President Emmerson Mnangagwa must stay in office until 2030. The crowd cheered, maybe by force, who knows. The opposition groaned, naturally. The Constitution wept. Vision 2030, they call it. And like most visions in Zimbabwe, it's blurred by unpaid wages, ghost hospitals, and a cost of living so high that even chickens are migrating to South Africa. Yet here we are, pushing for a constitutional amendment because one man allegedly possesses unmatched leadership during a period of 200% inflation and 3% electricity. Garwe's logic, stability. The same kind of stability a coma provides. Unchanging, unresponsive, and very, very quiet. Meanwhile, critics, including the Crisis in Zimbabwe coalition, have called the proposal unconstitutional. Opposition leader Nelson Chamisa described it as a desperate power grab. And blessed Bombshell Geza, the most dramatic war veteran name since Comrade Teoraeropa, has openly accused Garwe of licking boots that haven't delivered water in 10 years. By the way, just in case you're wondering, Comrade Teoraeropa was Zimbabwe's first vice president, Joyce Mujuru. There's a story about her spilling a lot of blood in the war, and Teoraeropa means to spill blood. So, just a little context there, but let's continue. In a country where elections resemble horror films and the economy is a daily prank show, what does 2030 even mean? Is it a date? A GPS coordinate? A dare? Because if it's a goalpost, ZANU-PF has moved it so many times they should be arrested for match fixing. Emmerson Mnangagwa, once sold as the post-Mugabe messiah, is now haunted by the same specter, overstaying. The problem with replacing dictators is when the replacement decides, you know what, that actually looked fun, it could work for me. His silence on Garwe's comments is telling. It's the political version of like and retweet. And so the ruling party scrambles. One faction wants Mnangagwa forever. Another wants Vice President Constantino Chiwenga. The people, they just want bread. Yet here we are, discussing constitutional amendments in a nation that can't amend potholes. What makes it worse is the arrogance. Garwe spoke as if the people had already voted, as if democracy is a background singer in the ZANU-PF choir, as if history doesn't have receipts. If Zimbabwe really wants Vision 2030, perhaps they should first learn to see 2025 clearly. Because right now, the only vision being fulfilled is the one in Mnangagwa's head, and it doesn't come with a return policy. Next door, in Zambia, a different kind of political theater unfolds. Fred Membe, journalist, former editor of The Post, head of the Socialist Party, and full-time government migraine, has once again made the front pages. This time, not for stirring speeches or revolutionary policy, but for something far more Zambian, a postponed court case. Membe stands accused of seditious practices under Section 57(1)(e) of the Penal Code. The crime posting that President Hakainde Hichilema received $20 million from somewhere. No receipts, no tender board, just vibes and punctuation. Now, let's be fair. Zambian politics has always had more conspiracies than an African WhatsApp group, but this one's special because it's not just a charge. It's a story of selective outrage. The Lusaka Magistrate Court delayed proceedings to October 2025, citing procedural hiccups. Translation, someone forgot the script. For the UPND, it's a win. More time to discredit Membe before the 2026 elections. For Membe, it's branding gold because nothing says I speak truth to power like standing trial in the same court that once closed your newspaper and arrested your staff during lunch.
Today, Dr. Fred Membe appeared before the magistrate court. This is in relation to the offence of seditious practices. Unfortunately, the state is not ready to proceed. We were ready to proceed, and the matter has been adjourned to 1st October 2025 for continuation of trial. Maybe to give you a refresher, this is in relation to an article which was published on his Facebook post on 16th July 2024, which had to do with the bragging by the president of DRC that he's bought Zambia's silence using $20 million. So for that, he's been charged with the offence of seditious practice. Thank you. I'll keep you posted on the other happenings that fall.
So, the Socialist Party rallies, the youth chant the urban poor nodding agreement, and the government scrolls. Because in the age of digital activism, court cases aren't just trials, they're campaigns. And Fred Membe, he's not on the dock, he's on tour. Once a firebrand editor, then a political exile, now a socialist prophet with a Wi-Fi connection, Membe represents everything the UPND hoped would go away when they won the last election. But like tax return, he keeps coming back. This latest sedition charge smells suspiciously like an old school tactic with the new school interface. Gone are the brutal newspaper bans. In are the passive-aggressive court dates that conveniently stretch until election season. It's legal suffocation, perhaps, but with a smile. What makes Membe dangerous isn't his accusations, it's his credibility. This is the man who warned about Zimbabwe's puppet politics in 2023 and got arrested for it. The man whose newspaper stood up to multiple administrations and lost everything but its readership. And the man who's now turning every courtroom delay into a TED Talk.
World Cup bound captain.
Let's go! I'm so excited. I'm just so happy for this group. It's been a long time coming, since 1991, and for us to achieve it here today, truly special.
Describe Namibia as an opponent.
No, they're worthy opponents, and I must give credit to them. They definitely didn't let this game be easy. They made us work for this win. So credit must go to Prince and his team. Thank you so much for a tough battle today. But yeah, as I said, I'm so happy for these boys and for Zimbabwe as a country.
The people who are watching you guys from home,
yeah.
A message to them.
Oh, we love you so much. We appreciate your support. Thank you for never giving up on us, always believing in us. And this win was definitely for you.
A message to the players who have qualified.
As I said, this has been a long journey, but I'm so grateful for my team. It's a huge honor and a privilege for me to be part of this team. And I'm so happy that, we can enjoy it together tonight.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You can now be called a World Cup coach. You'll be playing at Australia 2027. Yes. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing. It's amazing for the country. It's amazing for the people of Zimbabwe. So proud of the players and the effort that they put in over the last 18 months. We came here with 90% of the same boys. So proud of them and the coaching staff, of course.
You came into this as defending champions. Was there any sort of complacency in your players, and how did you handle that?
You're always wondering what if this happens and what if that happened, but never for a moment do you envision like losing. So I think the belief of the group was good. We didn't know how we would win, but we didn't think we would lose. So to find a way to win at the end of the day is credit to the players and their characters.
So what next? What next? First and foremost, what next in the next few hours, and what next between now and 2027?
I think I don't think it's going to be a few hours. It might be a couple of days or weeks or months where we will be on cloud 9. We have to make sure that this this group leaves a legacy behind in terms of the funding that World Rugby will help us with, growing infrastructure and making our local game strong. We see good examples from the Kenyans having such strong local leagues, so it's something that we can aspire to and really take our rugby to the next level.
All right, thank you very much.
So, Museveni needs new titles to distract from term number... we lost count. Boko blames media for party drama. Mnangagwa might rewrite the constitution so hard it becomes a novel. What links them all? Delay, diversion, deflection. These leaders have perfected a political martial art. The pivot, not the economic kind, no. The one where when one is cornered, they suddenly discover a new enemy. Museveni found his enemy in language. Boko found his in journalists. Mnangagwa's enemy is the calendar. If Africa had a political gospel, it would go something like this. Start a revolution. Promise the people heaven. Deliver potholes. Blame the West. Blame the media. Amend the constitution. Arrest the opposition. Introduce a new slogan. Repeat. The joke, of course, is on us, the voters, the readers, the unemployed youth with degrees and no data. We laugh because the pain is familiar. We mock because the truth is unbearable. And through it all, Second Take remains a mirror held to the faces of power. Distorted, cracked, but accurate. So to the Ssemalungus, the Garwes, the self-styled Democrats with authoritarian instincts, may your microphones cut out at your next rally. May your next slogan trend only in satire. And may the people, at long last, learn to vote not for gods, but for governments. Until then, this has been Second Take, where the only thing longer than Museveni's presidency is this script. Ugh, I'm tired. Good night.